What's up, everyone? Joe Gray here today for another AMA warm-up. I've got my dude Tim from GymCrafter today. Tim, what's going on, dude?
Hey man, how you doing?
Good. Weather's crazy, but it's spring. I think that's just kind of what it is.
Yeah, it's
So,
around the corner, right?
yep.
It's been nice.
Yep. So, but got a good workout in earlier. I don't know if you saw, I posted on Instagram a quick story. The Freak Athlete Apex showed up.
How
So
is it?
that's some good, mostly good. It's built really well. A couple of things I think they might want to tweak, but we'll
Yeah.
see. Hard part is that it's a commercial piece, so the home gym perspective is a probably a little different than the you know people who don't know anything, right? Kind of deal.
Gotcha.
So some of my feedback I sent over, they'll probably go, "Yeah, we don't care," and just move on because
Okay.
again, it's gonna go in a commercial space. So
Is it as big
uh,
as all the other reverse hypers out there?
it's big. Like it is. It's tall too, right? So like when you get up on it to do like GHDs and back extensions and stuff, like I have to look up at the rafters and make sure I don't hit my head, kind of thing.
Oh wow.
So again, I mean I'm 6 foot, so that adds to the equation, I'm sure, compared to a lot of people. But yeah, it's a big piece. So
All right.
it it barely fits in my garage with the car coming in and everything. We're
Okay.
like we have to like I have to pull in, and my wife goes a little bit more, a little nope, nope,
Oh
nope,
no.
stop, kind of thing. So it's not gonna hang out for very long.
Okay.
But yeah, always fun to get new gym equipment and put it to the test, especially when
Yeah,
I
super
think
fun.
that's the only one in the United States right now. So that's a
Oh, that's
fun
cool,
one.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
So
seen the pictures online and I've been eyeballing. I've got the Bells of Steel reverse hammer,
nice.
and that thing's gigantic, 400
Yeah.
pounds. I'm like, maybe this will be smaller, but it doesn't sound like it.
I don't
So,
think so.
well,
I think there's only so much you can do with that reverse hyper piece because you have to get up there and half your body
right.
has to hang off of it with your legs and enough swing, and then it can't tilt that way, so it's got to be heavy
Yeah.
on the other end and whatever. So yeah, until somebody figures out how to do a reverse hyper without your whole leg or something like that, I guess we're stuck. So
Although they do a nice job of making stuff for tall people. So I know
yes,
that the Freak Out the Hyper Pro is made for people up to 7 feet. So
yep,
you don't see that a lot. So I
yep,
honestly don't mind that kind of stuff's tall because I'm
yep.
kind of tall. So
Yeah, even my daughter uses the hyper, and she'll turn 8 this next month.
oh
So,
wow, that's awesome.
yeah, so it's definitely adjustable, which is pretty impressive. So,
Very cool.
but yeah. All right, man. Enough about freak athlete. Let's jump into you, huh?
All right,
So,
man.
yeah. So we start off with the simple one. Who are you? Why are you here?
So I'm Tim Stewart and I'm here because you asked me to be here. But
Yep, it's true.
I'm here because I'm actually really excited to interact with Reddit. I don't do Reddit myself. So I'm excited to interact with people. I pretty much stay off of Home Gym social media. But being that I run the GymCrafter YouTube channel and GymCrafter website. I've had the website for almost 10 years. And the YouTube channel, I've really been going hot and heavy for the last year since Google decided that my website was worthless. So they didn't want to send people there anymore, and
Yeah,
I needed to pay the bills, so I
yeah,
switched over to YouTube. But
yeah.
so yeah, so I'm here to kind of get. Hopefully, I'm excited to talk to everybody else. As hopefully they are to ask me questions. So,
Cool, cool.
but yeah.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, so Google change, just like all social media companies as well. They change their algorithm in terms of how they rank and file search results. The hard part when it comes to Google is that you might build an entire website based off of what their current search result process looks like. So then that way you can rank a little bit higher on barbells, racks, benches, all kinds of different stuff. And then one day they just go, it's different now. And so then you have to try and dissect why it's different, how we rank, and all these different things. And so I have heard horror stories of people who had hundreds of thousands of views a month go down to a couple thousand. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
that was
know.
me.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what your stats were, but yeah.
Yeah, 90% of my traffic over the course of 3 months was gone.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, it
yeah,
was
and it's a lot of it got eaten up by like Forbes magazine and stuff,
Yeah,
who it's all these companies that work because their website is so monstrous and so well, like there's a is a domain authority, I think is the
yeah,
technical term, right?
yeah,
Because they are seen as a authority on this, for some reason Google gave them authority on everything else. And
yes,
so they were able to come out with, instead of their, I don't know, top five um, portfolio management companies, which would be something that might make sense on Forbes, right? They
yeah.
wrote a top five barbells article, and it ranks above everybody else who spent the last decade, like Tim, talking about barbells. And
Yep.
all they did was just go, that one, that one, that one, that one. Those are my five affiliates. That'll work. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Although Reddit came out on top of that whole deal, like Reddit ranks really high in Google
they
search
do.
results now because I know that Google said it's the only. And when I talk to Google, they're like, that's. I know people don't like that, but they're like, at least we know those are real people, right?
Yep.
Like it's not AI. That was one of the
Yep.
only ways they could screen out AI was by returning Reddit. So
Yeah.
Reddit had a nice bump for that. So
Yes. So yeah, Reddit, their own YouTube platform, and a couple of other pieces definitely still have a high ranking on Google. So
yeah, for
everything
sure.
else is a random crapshoot. So
Yes, it is.
yeah, my highest ranking and best article in terms of performance is about my shoes. I've written one article on shoes. That's it. I never plan to write another article on shoes 'cause I don't care that much about shoes. I even put in the beginning, like, if you care about shoes, you should go look at as many reviews as possible because he covers like every shoe on the planet. And I'm like, I'm just going to talk about this one pair of shoes because it works for me because I have white feet. But every month it's my number one performing article. And somehow I rank like number one or two for the search term best shoes for people with wide feet. I don't know
Dude, I looked,
how.
I looked up your shoes the other day.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
saw
have
them
no,
in your cable attachment video, and I'm like,
yeah,
those shoes are cool. What are
yeah.
they?
I have no idea how that made it that far up. It's not like I was the first person to write about wide shoes,
Wow.
for feet, right? Here we are, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, if it made sense, then we'd be billionaires. So.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Tell me about your lifting. So how'd you get into it? What does that look like now? All that good stuff.
So I've been lifting on and off for like 40 years. One of my earliest memories as a little tiny kid was my grandpa and my uncle in their basement had a Sears and Roebuck weight set with a 1 inch bar and these like cement weights that were encased in plastic. And then they had a heavy bag and a speed bag. And I asked my parents, I think, every Christmas for that weight set until they bought it for me when I was 13. And I've been doing something at home ever since. But that's progressed through like I've owned two Bowflexes. I've done, beach body programs. I did a lot of, if you, this is going way back, but Vincent Del Monte was one of the original kind of workout influencers, did a bunch of
Okay.
his programs for a while, which basically just made me spend a stupid amount of money on supplements and not get results. But I progressed until I had a really great gym at work, full hammer strength gym for the 20 years I worked where I worked. I could work out as much as I wanted, racquetball court, basketball court. So I've been doing this for quite a while. As far as the kind of lifting, the last time I lifted for size and strength was in my 30s. And I've really suffered kind of a series of pretty serious health issues.
Yeah.
And it turns out that lifting weights is good for you. Imagine
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
So I had an issue that had me at the Mayo Clinic for a couple of weeks and nothing helped it. And I started lifting again just because I was depressed and fat, to put it bluntly, and it made everything better. And I remember going back to the Mayo Clinic and going, "Hey, lifting weights helped." And the doctor looks at me and goes, "Yeah, there's lots of studies that show resistance training is good for you, what you have." And I never wanted to punch somebody more in my life, man. I'm like, you put me the stuff that I've had more needles in my spine than I care to admit. And so I'm like, man, you put me through all that, and all you could have told me was eat better and lift weights. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
So I got really into it at that point, but really just for health, longevity, general fitness, and preparedness. I've been privileged to work with some really good coaches. John Russin is the one that I've spent the most time
Yeah.
with. He's probably most well known for working with Dave Tate.
Yeah.
And then I'm a personal trainer now and train people here in the gym. But really, I'm 54, so I'm trying to keep up with my 5-year-old nephew at this point. So
There
I'm
you
not
go.
I'm not out trying to set any records or anything like that. I absolutely love lifting. I love watching people lift with a lot of weight with good form. Watching somebody squat 500 pounds with their chest up is like one of my favorite things in the whole
Yeah,
world to see without that little dip at the bottom. So
yeah,
I love lifting, but I'm not going to set the world on fire with the amount of weight that I lift at this point.
yeah. So my daughter competes in my competition, right? And so it was, I think it was last year, her squat, she squatted and it was like, she did like 65 pounds or something.
Nice.
But it was beautiful,
That's
right?
awesome.
To
That's awesome.
depth, chest up,
Oh,
right?
that's
No,
great.
nothing.
Yeah.
And I watched it on video, I don't like 100 times or something.
I bet.
And every time I show it to people, anyone who knows lifting just goes, "Holy crap, her form is
Right?
fantastic." And I go, "Yeah, yeah." And
Yeah.
so weirdly
That's
enough,
great.
her watching me squat over and over and over again, and me hammering like, "Hey, we're not adding weight until that looks perfect," right?
Right.
Has turned out pretty well for her.
That's
So,
awesome, man.
but
Yeah.
yeah, that beyond everything else, it was like, because the squat is easy but complicated, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so anybody can squat, but when you load up a bar on your back and you got to get in the right spot and you got to stay and all these different things, everyone does this thing and that and the
Oh yeah.
knees cave and the whatever and yeah.
Yep.
So to watch her just crush it, I was like,
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
heck yeah. I can watch that all day long, man. I
yeah.
love watching good form lifting, deadlifts, squats, all it's just awesome.
Yep. Yep. All right, man. Number three. What's your experience with the home gym community?
So I limit it pretty much to just my YouTube comment section, which by the way, everybody who says YouTube comments are a dumpster fire, I don't know what your experience is, but I love the people that watch my videos. Like
Yep.
there's always the bro, like you look like olive oil, skinnier cousin. I mean, like, okay, and like my favorite one is I didn't know they made reverse steroids, right? Like so, but like so it's like outside of those, which I kind of just giggle at. It's really I love interacting. I try and respond to all the comments, and that's kind of where I do most of my interaction. I have a problem that I wasn't born with a filter between my brain and my mouth or my fingers. So I can't go on Reddit or
okay.
X or any of those places because A, I'll look up and it's 8 hours later and I don't
Yeah.
even realize. And B, I'd like to argue even when I know I'm wrong starting off. So I can't be there. So that's why I'm really looking forward to interacting with people
Yeah.
because this is a different kind of an environment,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to asking as people as many questions as I'm sure they're planning on asking me if they are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, YouTube comments for me earlier on, and I don't know if this is like a smaller channel problem or something. I feel like I got more people who had opinions about like me as a human being, right?
right,
So for a long time, I went through a stretch where like I wasn't wearing shoes in the gym. And it's my own gym. I can do whatever the hell I want, right?
yeah, like yeah,
And so I had this guy who was constantly coming in and like, oh, look at this sissy fairy something or other, not wearing shoes, something, something, something. And so I had recently listened to it was a podcast where they're talking about this teacher or this principal who had gone to the school and she would do morning announcements and the school was like ranked last for the whole country. At the end of the announcements, every time she would say, "And if no one told you today, remember I love you," right? And weirdly enough, her sentiments and her support and everything like completely turned that
oh
school
that's
around,
awesome.
right? And so I remember that like sticking in my head and going, all right, this guy's throwing out all the negativity in the world for no reason. I'm gonna do the opposite.
Nice.
So my comments were things like, "Hey man, thanks for the comment. Yeah, I sometimes I wear shoes, sometimes I don't. But here we are today. I chose not to. I hope you have a great day, right?" And the next time he comes back, same thing. He doubles down on the hate, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm so glad you're back, man. Yeah, today, whatever." And I'm like, "Hey, remember, I love you, dude. And then he comes back like it was like three times total. And every time he went deeper and I went higher, right?
That's awesome.
And then he disappeared.
That's great. Yeah.
Otherwise, most of the time I don't get a lot of flack. Occasionally, it's someone
Yeah.
who has an opinion about a piece of equipment that they've never used,
Right.
and decides to crap on. We were talking
Yeah.
about the Hyper Pro at the beginning.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
that sticks in my head is one guy came in and tried to say no self-respecting male over 200 pounds would ever use this because it'll break under, any valid weights and something, 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 something. So I commented, I'm like, well, here's a link to me hip thrusting 5 plates per side. I weigh 250 pounds. You can do the math, but that's probably more than most human beings will ever conceivably lift and weigh combined.
Right.
And it doesn't move. I've used this multiple times a week for the last 4 months, as well as my wife, my daughter, etc. Like, just list out legitimate facts, right? Because his was not based on anything other than he thought he
Yeah.
knew something that he did it, and then ended it with, "If you have any more questions, let me know." Right? And of course he didn't because I gave him literally every single piece to the puzzle that destroyed whatever he did. So, but that's
Yeah.
that's about it. Otherwise, 9 times out of 10, I mean, I get some hate sometimes when I post a video somewhere else. Like I'll post it to a
Hmm.
Facebook group or something like that, and you get, like
Okay.
you were saying, right? You get negative stuff. But the actual YouTube itself seems to be pretty chill. So, yeah, I don't,
Yeah. It's
maybe it's
right.
because our stuff isn't super polarizing. We're not like
I don't know.
crapping on people or anything, or I don't know.
I try not. I want to sometimes, but I try not to. But I think my favorite YouTube comment, which has become a meme in my gym, is it's my favorite. I don't know why it tickles me so much, but it was just simple statement. Bumper plates are gay. So I have a client where every time we load the bar now, he's like, dude, bumper plates are gay. it's it's just I don't know why, man. I laugh
Yeah,
every time I
because
think
you just
somebody took the
go,
time to type that, right?
just go, how could a bumper plate have a sexual, preference or
Right?
whatever, right? Like,
Well, we make jokes. We're like, better leave the lights on because you know those bumper plates.
yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. But yeah, I mean, I kind of just laugh. But yeah, for the
Uh,
most part, people like really, really. I'm looking forward to meet some of them at Home Gym Con. Actually, it's
yeah.
just
Yep.
it's cool.
Yeah.
So
The only other one I keep in my back pocket is I got from Brandon Campbell when him and I talked. He goes, I cannot not reply to somebody. So he says, so if someone comes in and they're full of just stupidity on whatever they
mhm,
have, and you can tell like no amount of reality is going to change
right.
this person's thing. You just reply, okay. That's it, right? Just okay.
Yep.
And so I've done that a handful of times where someone will come in and they'll say something like, like they'll try and crap on the Vultras, right? They're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Oh, this dumb idiot spent $4,000 on, something he could have spent 200, $50 at Home
Right.
Depot on or
Yeah.
whatever."
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just reply, "Okay." And then I just move on because I'm like, I don't, I get
Yep.
it's like the guy that I told, hey, I hope you have a great day. I love you kind of thing.
Yep.
It's the same mentality of like, I'm just not gonna put more hate out there. Like I don't need that in my life. That dude can go do whatever he's gonna do.
Yes.
So,
I default to cool story, bro. Sometimes,
yeah.
like whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is, but for the most part, yeah, people are, and I'm sure you, and I don't do Reddit, like I said, but I'm sure you find that most people, and I don't know if it's because we're all here to better ourselves. Like
Yep,
everybody who works out, really, they care about themselves, they care about their families.
yep,
They tend to be like Home Gym Con was amazing that way. Like everybody that I met was just a genuinely good person. It
cool.
was such a good time there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I would say the vast majority are solid. Again, I mean, social media has the benefit of being, pseudo anonymous.
yeah,
And so people take advantage of that sometimes.
yep,
You have to have a thick skin to put yourself out there. And sometimes I
right,
think people don't appreciate that. They take your transparency and their anonymity. That word,
Something
you
like
know where
that.
I'm going with, yeah. They take it for granted, and we'll do this like, well, you're terrible at this thing, whatever kind of deal. But it's,
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking less. It's a 1% of a 1%
yeah,
situation.
for
So,
sure,
yeah.
for sure.
All right, man. Next one. This is your special one. So, as a product reviewer, as a home gym enthusiast, connoisseur of finer things, you get offered stuff like myself, right? So, companies
Yes.
want to send you things to test and write about and review and whatever it might be. Uh, we've talked multiple times. Sometimes we
Yep.
say no, thank you.
Yep.
Sometimes we go, yes, please. Other times we reach out to companies and say, hey, would you like to
Yeah.
send me this? Whatever it might be. How does that work for you? So why are you saying no? Why are you saying yes? What piques your interest that says, I want that? And if they send it to me, awesome. And if they don't, I'm going to buy it anyway. How do you
Right.
go through those different pieces?
No, that's a great question. I think a lot of people wonder about that too when they watch channels because there are clearly channels that will review whatever is sent to them.
Literally anything.
Yeah. So, and by the way, how many people in the world make massage guns for crying out loud? Because I swear, like once a week, I get another company who wants
All
me
of
to
them.
review a
Yeah.
massage. My
Yeah.
gosh. But so first of all, if it's not something I would legitimately use myself, I am not interested.
Yeah.
And like I get a lot of offers for clothes, for example. Like, hey,
Yep.
we'll just send you a bunch of clothes to wear. And I'm like, I'm wearing a disc golf sweatshirt right now that's like 5 years old, right? Like I don't care. Like I've paid a little more attention and I'm probably gonna get some branded stuff at some point, but like I don't really care. Like I don't,
Yeah.
if it's not for me, if I wouldn't go out and buy it, if I didn't do this for a living,
Yeah.
I don't want to review it. Being that I train people in the gym, I also have to consider would it be worthwhile for people who have different training needs than I do. So one that really surprised me was Living.fit sent me their all-purpose barbell,
Hmm.
which doesn't have a center knurl, which for
Yep.
me, I enjoy power bars pretty much. So I'm like, what am I going to do with a bar with no center knurl?
Yep.
Well, lo and behold, female clients who don't wear shirts that cover their back don't like a center knurl. Like who knew?
Yeah.
Right? So like I now have a bar in the gym with no center knurl for specifically that reason. So I look for stuff that either me or my clients will use. If it's a cheap, clearly just it's from a marketing company more than it is a fitness company,
Yeah.
I'm not interested in. So I did try some budget stuff recently just because I'm like, there's got to be something good out there that's worthwhile. Like let me take a look at a bunch of it. It was honestly the least pleasurable 6 months I've ever spent in my gym. So I say no to all that stuff now too.
Yeah.
So, and like we talked about earlier, it would be easy as an affiliate marketing person to just get some of that stuff and push because they're spending
Yeah.
millions of dollars in Facebook ads, right?
Yes.
So you could
Yes.
get it, put in your gym, say, this does 6 things, and
Yeah.
like look how great it's got spider arms.
Yeah.
And then just watch the money roll. And my big filter, man, to be honest, is it helpful to people? Do I think this is going to help other people? And if I don't think it's going to help other people, I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to review it. I don't want to give it exposure on my channel. I don't want to, give them the time of day really, because there's only so much bandwidth you have.
Yeah.
And like we talked about before we started filming, I legit have actual bad dreams
Yeah.
about people writing me an email and going, "Hey, I spent 500 bucks on something that you said was good and it's not good." Like that's my biggest fear. And I don't look at how much money I can make. And that leads into the next part of the question, which is if I think it's good and they don't have an affiliate program, I'm still going to buy it,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm buying some dumbbells from Fringe Sport here pretty soon, and I'm looking for a rack. Well, in my opinion, Synergy Custom is one of the better dumbbell rack. They don't have an affiliate program. I won't make a penny. I'll probably have to buy a $2,000 dumbbell rack out of my own pocket. But A, how am I going to get up on screen and tell people that they should buy nice stuff for their gym if I'm not also doing the same thing? And B, I'm not going to go with the free one because it's free, right? And because I can sell it on an affiliate. So I think there's a level of if you run it through the filter of does it help other people? Is it a quality product? Is it something that if I researched it, would I actually take a chance to spend my own money on it?
Yeah.
Then I'll bring it in. If the answer is no to any of those questions, I pretty much turn it down. And I
Yeah.
turn down stuff as you do, like
All the
multiple,
time.
multiple, multiple times a week.
Yeah.
Because once you get even, gosh, must be like 1,000 YouTube subscribers is the threshold to just hey, and the best ones are the Google Translate emails that don't even make sense. Those are awesome.
I share those sometimes on like Instagram stories and things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
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 We are Super Fantastic Fitness Company
Uh,
and we enjoy your content muchly. It's like, okay.
My favorite was I had a company offer to set me up for an affiliate for boob tape, which
Oh, nice.
yeah, I was like, I don't, I don't know how my content triggered that as a, but I also don't know what that's for or how it works
Right?
or anything. And I'm like, and now I'm sure my algorithm is just going to show me boob tape for
Oh, that's
6 months or
awesome.
something. Yeah, it's bizarre. My guiding light, by the way, is I think I have it written down literally like in my bio on my website is I always wanted to write articles, produce videos, put stuff together that I personally wanted to read, watch, and participate in.
Yes.
My
How long have
idea
you had your
was,
site?
what's that?
How long have you had your site?
Well, so for quite a while, it was a literal like free WordPress blog site or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't converted to an actual website until 2023, I think.
Okay.
So I pivoted for a while when the garage gym competition blew up, when I went from 200 participants to 1,200 or whatever, because
Right.
COVID went crazy. And so I just, because I was still working full time and I just went, I can only do one thing like good. So, how am I going to make this work? And so that was it. And so kind of left that to die for a while until I figured out, how do I run both things that I'm doing? And yeah, so, but all in all, it's like probably close to 10
Okay.
years.
So
So
you started back when I did, because I remember that's why I started was I was building my gym
yeah,
and you would look up what's the best squat rack and literally every article was either 10 Amazon things that kind of looked like a
yeah,
squat rack, maybe, or 10 Rogue squat racks.
yeah, yeah,
Like that, or maybe some Titan in there, because
yeah,
that was the only
Titan.
place you
Yeah,
could have affiliate links. So
yeah,
and it was literally like, okay, there's no good information out here.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, sounds like we started about the same time.
What I started doing was, so the first reviews I did, I called my 1+ year reviews, and I did it on stuff that I literally had in my gym for over a year.
Awesome.
And when John Greaves actually kind of like picked me up and said, "Hey, can you write some stuff for me?" I said, "Sure." And that one was because I wasn't doing affiliates. It was for a lot of the smaller companies, Edge Fitness Systems and MagGrip and a few others. And the other piece was he goes, because your stuff is detailed and it's on something you actually use on a regular basis. And I remember going back to, so JB is the guy who writes GarageGyms.com. He's
Hmm.
been out of the game for a while, but I remember going back to him at one point and going, "Okay, you've reviewed like literally 50 barbells." Yeah. And I go, What one do you use all the time?" Because you can only use so many bars, right?
Right.
And he was like, I use these two bars almost every time I lift. I'm like, that's the bar then, right? Like that was one of the main things for me early on was I don't like there's so many good bars and benches and
Yeah.
racks and different things and whatever. And I was
Yep.
like, I only care about like what one do you actually like, oh, you rated that one a 4.6 and that one's a 4.7. I gotta have
Right.
the 4.7, right? Like,
Yeah.
no, I just never cared about that stuff. Mine was like, if you go back to that one over and over and over again, even though you have 50,
Right.
that's the one I want, right?
Right.
And that was the concept behind why I wanted to use things for so much longer before I reviewed it was I went, everything's cool for the first 2 weeks, right? That honeymoon
Right.
period, everything's
Right.
fantastic. Um, do I actually go back and use it again, right? So like, quick shout out to Jonathan at No Fate 247. Him and I have been talking lately, and he's like, the amount of people that have like, so we talked before about the Hyper Pro from Freak Athlete.
Mhm.
He goes, the amount of reviewers that got it, put their review out in a week, and then he goes, and then they probably sold it or moved on or something.
Right.
He's like, I'm using it all the time. And I
Right.
told him, I go, and you can tell in your video, like
Right.
his review was one of the best ones I've watched
Yeah.
because he actually uses it consistently.
Right.
Weird that that turns into a better end result for a product review, right?
Right. Right.
So yeah, so that was always a guiding light for me of like, do I get excited by it? Would I want to watch it, read it, whatever?
Awesome.
And how that has parlayed into more time invested into it, really understanding it, all these different things. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's number one why people like gym tours because they want to see what you're actually using.
yeah,
But I always get a kick out of some of the bigger channels where they'll review a bunch of stuff and go, "This is great, this is great, this is great," and then you watch their gym tour and you're like, "You are completely full of it."
yeah.
Like
You
nothing
have
you said
none of
was
that in
great
your
is in your
gym.
gym, and in fact, half the stuff you said not to do in your videos, you
Yeah,
do in your gym, right?
yeah,
Like it's so I enjoy those gym tours just for that reason. There's at least that one moment of transparency where you're like, oh,
yeah,
here's the real deal.
yeah,
Like that's the barbell you actually use,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So no, that's a great point
Yeah,
for
they've got
sure.
they're like me and their daily driver barbell is 1980s Avonco, right? Yeah, I
Nice.
can't make
Yep.
anything off of it, right? But the
Right,
bar's
right.
great, so I use it all the time. So
Yeah, heck yeah, man.
all right, dude, let's wrap it up. Last
Yep.
question. One reason why people should join your upcoming AMA.
So I've got one reason and one request. The reason is perspective. I think that in the home gym community, A, I'm in my mid 50s. B, I train people here. C, I'm not looking to get swole, right? So, like, I think that represents a unique perspective
Yep.
for just your ordinary Joe who's trying to build a garage gym that they love. And I love helping people do that, like finding out that, hey, I'm a better dad because of the advice you gave me.
Yeah.
I didn't spend my kids' college tuition. I didn't go too cheap. I
Yeah.
can have something that I can. So I love
Yeah.
answering questions like that. So anybody out there who has questions based on those perspectives that maybe you're not used to getting. I'm also super tall, so any tall people out there. And then the request is like, I really want my channel to be for people. Like it's not for me; it's to help other people. So if there's companies that people want to see, or if there's products that they think that we should look at, anything that people want to see that they're like, hey, I searched YouTube all day for this stuff and I can't find X. Like you said, you
Sure.
started your site because you couldn't find what you wanted.
Yeah.
Like I want to know what people can't find because I'd love to give that content.
Yep.
I'd love to look at, like, I think I might start looking at giant barbell. I'm going to look a little bit
Yep.
deeper because I've had a lot of people reach out and they're like, hey, I think they're good, but there's not much content out
Yep.
there. So if there's more companies like that people want to look at, I'm really looking forward to probably asking as many questions as I answer. So
Cool.
yeah, in a longer nutshell, that's why.
Awesome. I like it. Cool. All
All
right,
right, man.
everybody. That is the AMA warm up with Tim from GymCrafter. In the description, I will put links to his various pages and things so you can check out more from him as well as details on his upcoming AMA. So you can hop on over, ask Tim all your pertinent questions about being a average tall dude in his
Old.
50s, right? Yeah.
Yep. A tall, old, bald guy.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
got it.
So, yeah, ask him all that good stuff, and that's it. Thanks, Tim.
You bet, man. Thank you.
Later.